Hey, Theo. Theophilus.
Hello, sir.
Please let your friends join quickly.
Okay, I'm letting you know.
I'll send it to their platform too.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to start the lecture, okay? Your friends can join later because it's now 6:36, 5:36, sorry, and we have to start. Today we'll be looking at research ethics and philosophies. The reason why I want everybody to be here because the topic is a bit, cranky if you are not in class, so that if I explain, they should understand, but send the words to them that they should be here on time. And we want to look at research ethics and philosophies. In research, is grounded on certain philosophies or in the layman term, certain assumptions. And those assumptions is what actually precedes research for that matter. So we call it research philosophies. And then there's also some issues that we talk about ethics in research. For example, you cannot coerce anybody to be part of research. You cannot force anybody to do a research. If you do that, you are infringing on the right of that respondent or participant. So you have to know. And also, if you do research, there are certain rules you have to follow. For example, anonymity. The researchers, those people who are part of it, who we call your respondents, have to be anonymous. They don't have to know their name unless otherwise you use consent form to ask them if they want their names to be associated with their research. Other than that, you give them what we call pseudonyms names or fictitious name, okay? Then there is also something we call confidentiality, whereby whatever information you gathered, the information have to be, more confidential. You don't have to divulge the information to the third party. So all these things are part of the ethics of the research, okay? So today we are going to look into that and then understand certain key elements that we are going to take note of. So let's look at the outline of the presentation. We'll look at the introduction, then we'll look at the research ethics. Then we talk about research ethics to whom, from whom. Then we look at ethical principles in research. Then we also look at some philosophical issues under research. So in conducting a social science research, social scientists inevitably interact with people, because no matter how you do it, either you are doing quantitative study, you still have to distribute your questionnaire to the participants or respondents. And if you are doing that of qualitative, that is where you have to interact with them with regards to, knowing the participants and also getting to know them by asking them questions. So you definitely have to interact with whoever you are conducting the research with. So we said that in conducting social science research, you have to get in touch with the people. All right? So with that interactivity, it means that you have to talk to the people. You have to actually seek permission from them before you can actually conduct that research. Okay? So as we interact with other people as social scientists, we must give attention to their rational concerns. Okay? They must be able to show concern, and emotional needs in one way or the other will shape their responses to our actions. So if, for example, you are delving into an emotional issue, let's talk about HIV/AIDS, and you are dealing with people with HIV/AIDS, you must be sensitive to some of the questions that you pose. Even though some of these questions are bound to be asked, you still have to be very cautious how you go about it. So you need to recognize that research procedures involve people who deserve as much respect for their well-being as we do for others. So it is very important that we look at it in a more ethical manner, where we are collecting data from people. That is why there are certain ethics issues we have to look at, or what we call ethical issues. So what is ethics in research? As a matter of concern, ethics in research addresses application of moral principles and/or ethical standards to human action within the research process. So we are talking about moral principle. If you are collecting the data from a group of people, you don't have to divulge the information to other people. You have to keep it as secret as much as possible. Likewise, there are certain standards you have to go through. Even the research instrument must be scrutinized, and you must also get what we call clearance for you to be able to conduct that research. If you don't get a clearance and you just jump into it by going into the research, it means that you are undermining the principles of research or ethical standards abiding the research. So you need a clearance. So at the master's level, when it's time for research, the students will apply, and there is a form that they have to fill. And each of the form, they ask them certain principle, questions. Is the question that you are going to do, does it involve even animals, human beings, minors? Because if you want to conduct interview involving minors, they will need parental consent. You cannot jump and just be interviewing minors without getting clearance from their parents. So it's an ethical issue that we need to look at. Now, two questions may be used to determine whether an action or inaction is ethical in research or not. These are, is it possible to restore the subject to his or her original condition? Is it possible to restore the subject to his or original condition? Two, Has the subject been subjected to unreasonable stress or risk without his or her knowledge? Beyond these two questions, there are some ethical principles that needs to be observed. So with these two questions, okay, the first one, is it possible to restore the subject to his or her original condition? The condition in which, the subject or the matter in which you are investigating, would you be able to restore it to the latter or to the original condition? Or has the subject been subjected to unreasonable stress or risks without his or her knowledge? All these things form the basis of why we need to abide by a certain principle. So there are certain basic principles for protection of human rights. The National Commission for the Protection of Human Rights Subjects of Biomedical and Behavioral Research in the United States of America have established 3 ethical principles to follow that will protect human subjects. These are respect for the person. Okay. The second one is beneficence. The third one, the second one is beneficial. The third one is justice. Now, with respect to persons, treating person as autonomous agents and protecting with diminishing autonomy. Okay. You need to respect the person. You need to treat it as a person on its own. And for that matter, you don't have to infringe upon the person's right. If you don't ask consent and you just jump and then you are interviewing somebody, it means that you are undermining the autonomy or you are not protecting the right of that person. Okay? How about beneficence? Minimize possible harm and maximizing benefits. You have to make sure that you don't harm the person that you are interviewing. All right? Then likewise, justice. You have to distribute benefit and risks of research fairly. These broad principles have been translated into specific regulations. And those regulations are what you have to go through when you want to conduct. I made mention of what? Institutional research or institutional review. Okay? They'll review the instruments, they'll review your protocol, whatever proposal that you put together to do, it must be reviewed to the latter. Okay? So the respect for the person, the beneficence, and also the justice must be adhered to the latter. Now, how about achieving valid results? Knowledge is the foundation of human progress, and it is pursuit of these in research that justify our research or investigation and give us some claim to the right to influence others or participate in our research. In the pursuit of the knowledge, therefore, we should be committed to achieving valid results that we can objectively and honestly claim represent the true picture. So in research, it means that we are only looking for, results that are valid, that we can objectively and honestly claim to represent the true picture. So if you are conducting and people are lying to you, it means that it's undermining the ethics of research. So for the beginning of the research, in the preamble, you have to let the participants know or the respondents know why you are conducting the research. That is why when you read the introduction, it is stated categorically that this research is being conducted for academic purpose only, not anything apart from that. So it means that they are not going to use the results to do anything apart from academic purpose for those who are doing projects, okay, or writing long essay. you need to put that in your preamble as a partial fulfillment of or Bachelor of Science degree in procurement and logistics. You are conducting this research as academic purpose, and the results will not be used apart from the academic purpose that you are embarking on. So you are entreating them to give you accurate information as much as possible. And in research, some instances, you select people because of their knowledge of the subject matter. We will come to, like different types of, the research and their data collection methods. And you see that qualitative normally draws on what we call purposive sampling, because the people have the knowledge on whatever they want to give. So that matter, they must be interviewed. So if people don't have knowledge on the subject matter, it becomes so difficult. That is why even in quantitative study, you have to even conduct your sampling technique, okay? Is it random sampling? Is it systematic random sampling? What type of sampling are you using so that you can get the actual people who can give you the information? Okay, and it is here that those who believe in qualitative normally criticize quantitative and say that even though they said their research approach is the best, it doesn't give the right caliber of people at times to answer questions. So they answer the questions anyhow that they feel is supposed to be. So that is another argument forwarded by people who believe in purposive sampling, okay? People who they know that they have the idea or they have. So at times, you see that even quantitative study who does not apply most on what we call non-probability type of sampling, they adopt purposive sampling, which is more of qualitative, sampling more than that of quantitative, all right? So that is another area. Then honesty and openness. The scientific consent for validity also require that scientists open in disclosing their method and honest in presenting their finding. So your finding methodology have to be well spelled out. How did you select your samples? Who are they? We are not talking about disclosing their names, but what are their characteristics? You need to provide that one, okay? So we need that honesty and openness, okay, in disclosing their methods and honest in presenting their findings. Then to assess the validity of the researcher's conclusion and the ethics of their procedures, you need to know exactly how the research was conducted. That is why we come into what we call methodology. The methodology actually spells out how the research was conducted, or how, if you are writing a proposal, how the research will be carried out. Okay, so if you conducted the research already, then you put them in past tense so that it will inform whoever is reading your work to know that this is how you conducted your research. So that honesty and openness is key. This means that articles or other reports must include a detailed methodology section, perhaps supplemented by appendixes containing the researchers or research instrument or website, or an address where more information can be obtained. So it is very important that we actually go into that tangent. Now, protecting the research participants. At times you hear me calling the terminology participants. Then at times I use the term respondent. They are all the same, but depends on the methods that you are adopted to collect your data. When you are talking about participants, we are talking about qualitative study. We call them participants, but when we are doing quantitative, we call them respondent. By inserting literature they combine the two. So if you hear the word participant, it means the people who are being asked questions. And if you hear about respondent, the same thing, the people who are responding to questionnaire. Okay, so take note of that. So when we say protecting research participants or respondents, ethical guidelines emphasized by most professional social science organizations concerning the treatment of human subjects include: one, research should cause no harm to subjects. You should not ask any question that psychologically it will put someone in distress. For example, if you are actually going to interview how to reach youth like drug users, prostitutes, they expect that no matter how you go about it, your question should not harm the person. Okay? Then participation in research should be voluntarily. I said it, you don't coerce anybody. Coerciveness means that you are subjecting a person that, hey, compulsory, you have to be part of this. And if in course of the research, the person realizes that, no, I'm no more interested, you don't coerce the person. You stop right there. You stop right there. You don't go further. So therefore, subjects must be given their informed consent to participate in the research. So you give the person the consent form, and the consent form should give a preamble about what type of research you are conducting and what are the subject matter that you are going. So you need to introduce the subject matter, the topic of the research to the respondent, and lay emphasis that this research is not coercive, it's voluntarily. So if the person says, yes, I'm going to conduct, you give the person the consent form, and the person will write his name and sign. It means that the person have shown what? Consent. But if you don't do that, you cannot conduct research on any human being whatsoever. So the use of consent forms. The researcher should fully disclose their identity. As a researcher, you need to disclose. That is why if you see the consent form, the preamble, they said that I'm a student, my name is so and so and so. I'm a student of, how do you call it? Ghana Communication Technology University. And I'm conducting this research as part of my academic effort in partial fulfillment of my degree. So we solicit your opinion. We want you to embark on voluntary research that will enable me to gather data to do my analysis, period. So the researcher should disclose his or her identity. It's very, very important. Now, anonymity or confidentiality must be maintained. I made mention of this during my introduction aspect. Anonymous. We don't know who is responding to which questions. So if you ask them whether they want to use their name and they say yes, then you give them the form to sign. It means that they've given their consent. If the person says no, then what you have to do is to give a fictitious name to that person. Kofi Mensah, John Mensah, Kofi Owusu. Those are the fictitious. That's not the person's real name, but you have given the person fictitious name, a pseudonym name. It's accepted in research. That shows anonymity. We don't know who is being referred to. Because in some situation, when you mention the person's real name, you put the person into danger. People can castigate the person. People can look at the person and say, this is a guy who answered this question, blah, blah, blah. So another aspect is that confidentiality must be adhered to. So confidentiality must maintain for individual research participants unless it is voluntary and explicitly waived. If the person says, I want to give my name, then that one is waived. It must go through the consent form. Now, then benefit from the research project should outweigh any foreseeable. the benefit of the research that we are looking at. At times, some people they will give you a token. In fact, that token means they are just giving it for you to participate. Sometimes people give you pens, some of them will give you souvenirs to be able to participate. In North America, like America, if you go to the shopping mall and they are doing these market surveys, they can give you coupon to go and shop for taking part in that research. Is allowed. But to induce people or to say that I'm giving you this money to give me this information by force or by coercion is against the ethical aspect of research. So research is done in a more to benefit the, how do you call it, the community than any monetary gains. All right. Now, so with research ethics, it means that whatever research you have to do, you need a consent. Your instruments have to be reviewed by the Institutional Review Board. We have one at the School of Graduate Studies. If you come, they will take you to the research unit. And then they will look at all the questionnaires and then your instrument. When I say instrument, I'm talking about either interview guide or the questionnaire. The instrument that you use to collect data. They will analyze it and see whether everything is clear. Then they will write to you officially that, yes, you can go ahead with the research. If there's any clarification that they want to sort, they will do that before you can carry out the study. Okay. So research is done in a more professional and is supposed to guide the rights of the people. Okay. Now, we come to the next one, which is research philosophies. Research philosophy relates to the development of knowledge and the nature of that knowledge. The development of the knowledge and the nature of that knowledge. How do we gather knowledge? It is through people's participation. So research philosophy describes the researcher's perception, I told you, assumptions, beliefs or assumptions about the nature of reality and truth. That is knowledge of that reality. So we are saying that when we talk of research philosophy, we are talking about what? Development of knowledge and the nature of that knowledge. And the research philosophy describes the researcher's perception, beliefs, or assumption about the nature of reality and truth. That is knowledge of that reality. It will sound useless to you that what is it talking about? What we are saying is that every research, a researcher has what we call philosophy, his belief in research. For example, my philosophical belief in research or my philosophy in research is that I'm a pragmatist. A pragmatist is somebody who looked at issues based on pragmatic effort, how to solve that problem. So pragmatists are people who conduct both qualitative and quantitative research combined, what we call the mixed method. So everybody in academia, if you ask somebody about his research philosophy, he will explain it to you. So we are going to delve into this knowledge of that reality. So this importance of research philosophies is that they can influence the way in which the research is undertaken, from design through to conclusion. There are some people who believe in qualitative study. They believe that knowledge should not be generalized in the way we look at it. It depends on the context of where you are conducting the research. It also depends on the belief system of the people you are conducting the research with. So they don't believe in what we call objectivity, like how the quantitative people believe in objectivity. They rather believe in what we call subjectivity, based on subject of the matter, not the objectiveness of the issue. So it is very important to understand and discuss these philosophies in order that approaches congruent to the nature, aims of a particular inquiry are adopted, and to ensure that the researcher's biases are understood, exposed, and minimized. For example, those who believe in quantitative, that research should be done according to, figures, facts, they look mere upon qualitative research that is based on the respondent's interpretation of the data. They call it bias. So they say qualitative research is biased. But qualitative people will tell you that no, they are not biased. Even if you have bias, we declare our bias, we declare our background to the subject matter. So for you to tell them that they are biased, they are not. So research is grouped in this category. Each one of them have their argument against each other. And each one of them also have defense. And in fact, it is because of that, the qualitative people believe that quantitative people are like, they don't have the real caliber of people to answer their questions. It is only by numbers, but they don't have the understanding. Qualitative people believe that whatever research they do, they have the rationale. They can explain the reason why that issue is. But qualitative people argue against quantitative that it's full of figures. It doesn't talk about anything that can get you the nuances or the differences. But the quantitative people also argue that research must be done scientifically. For example, you don't have to meet with the participants and then be talking. Give them the questionnaire. If you meet them face to face, you'll be biasing the information that they have. So that is why the philosophy of research was born. So the philosophy you adopt is more likely to influence the practical consideration. However, the main influence is likely to be your particular view of the relationship between knowledge and the process by which it is developed. All right? Now, let's look at these philosophies. There are three major ways of thinking about research philosophy. We have what we call epistemology. Epistemology. I want you yourself to pronounce it. Epistemology. Who can pronounce it? Maswell.
Prof, epistemology.
Again.
Epistemology.
Very good. Christiana. Christiana Nyaku Yeboah.
Say epistemology.
Very good. Remember this term so that when you meet it in exam, you remember that I asked you to pronounce it over and over. Estatete.
Epistemology.
Good. Gladys Dampari.
Epistemology.
Very good. Okay. I will explain to you what it means. Then we have ontology. Ontology, pronounce it. Louisa. Louisa. We are waiting for you. Louisa Esina Mensa. Louisa, if you don't answer, that means that you are not in class, so I'll mark you absent.
But her background is noisy, that's why. It's in a car.
Her background is noisy.
It's in a
How
car.
do you, Maxwell, are you the lawyer?
I spoke to her before joining the class, before we joined the class.
Hey, lawyer, Maxwell Soka.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right.
Bro, please, your camera is on.
It doesn't matter. Well, you don't want to see me. I'm here for a conference, so you can see me.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, since you don't want to see me, I put it off. Okay, so Maxwell, pronounce ontology.
Ontology.
Very good. Millicent Amankwa.
Wow. Ontology.
Very good. Robert Kojo Amegavi.
Prof. Ontology.
Ontology. Very good. And the last one, axiology.
Axiology.
Very good. Axiology. But don't give me as my name. Don't be calling me epistemology or ontology. I know students who they say, hey, ontology is coming, axiology is coming. I know students very well. That's not my name. You are laughing. All right. Now let's move on. We are going to actually dismantle all this terminology one after the other before we leave this class this evening. Are we closing at 6:30?
6:15.
6:15. Okay, we still have some time here. Some few times ahead. Let's move on. Epistemology concerns what constitutes acceptable knowledge in the field of study. Acceptable knowledge in the field of study. Epistemology considers view about the most appropriate way of inquiry into a nature of the world, according to S.T.B. Smith, Thorpe and Johnson, 2008. And what is knowledge and what are the sources and limits of knowledge, according to Erickson and Kovalonen, 2008. Blackie, 1993, described epistemology as the theory of science of the method or grounds of knowledge, expanding into a set of claims or assumptions about the ways in which it is possible to gain knowledge or reality. So this keyword, gain knowledge and reality. How what exists may be known, and what can be known, and what criteria must be satisfied in order to describe knowledge. So simply what they are saying is that in their world, is their perception, is that when you are looking for a knowledge, okay, or you are looking for, a reality of any information, that is like a theory of science, and the method or the ground of that knowledge is based on what rules you have to follow to gain that knowledge. If you don't follow that rules, then to them, you are not practicing what we call epistemology. So if you don't satisfy that criteria, and we'll be looking at that criteria, because if you are a believer or epistemology, you must be objective. You don't use anything like cultural beliefs to be able to use that. And if you look at ontology, that is also delving into the people who believe in what cultural practices. for their perception. So they are conducting research based on the cultural. So whatever happened in Yoruba community is different from the Ga community. But two epistemologies, they all must be standardized because it's a theory of science. So there are three kinds of research philosophy that can be identified. According to Blackie, they describe them as a research paradigm. So out of these, we have what? Paradigm. And one is what? Positivism. The second one is realism. And the third one is what? Interpretivism. The word positivism, let me give you the simplified word of it. It means those who believe in quantitative study. And then realist, people who feel that you'll be hearing the term realistically. They believe that you must be realistic based on facts. Then the interpretivism people believe that you must interpret information based on the cultural belief or the belief system of the people. So cultural scenario in Yoruba community is different from that of Igbo, even though there might be some similarities. There are differences. Likewise, if you come to Ghana, okay, if you go to among the Wolof of Gambia, they also have their own belief systems. So these are the people who believe that wherever you are coming from, you should interpret the belief systems based on your cultural values and traditions. But the positive people say that it must be standardized in every sphere of life. Likewise, the epistemology people. Then the pragmatists are the people who say that combine the two, both qualitative and that of quantitative. Okay, let's see. The time is up. It's rather unfortunate we didn't start on time, but we'll finish with this. I've already asked the class rep, since yesterday I was traveling to Kumasi here, I requested that, I should actually be given another time based on your availability so that we can meet online probably one evening to square up, because your questions are ready and I have to make sure that I square up all the areas. As I've told you, there will be multiple choice questions, 40 questions in all. 1 question for 1 mark, okay? Then the other 20 questions, you answer 2 questions. That's for section B. So you have to prepare yourself. That is why I have to finish with you and make sure that you can conquer all aspects of it. My questions are not difficult, but if you don't read, forget about it. It will outwit you. So take note of that. Class rep, take note, we are up to realism. So come next week, Wednesday, we'll continue for realism, and then we'll talk about other aspects. But I will share the slides with you. Do I owe you any slide? I know I owe you the video, presentation. That is yes, what I'm working on now. But do I owe you any presentation slides?
No problem.
No. Only this one.
Yes.
So I'll finish and I'll share with you. I've started the video upload. It will all be available and I'll send you the links.
Thank you very much, Prof.
Any question?
Hello, Prof. Concerning the research, the proposal, no, you said you're going to send us the format of it.
I didn't send you the format.
No, sir.
Okay, I'll send it through your platform this evening.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought in the beginning, during the proposal stage, I shared something like that, or?
No.
Okay, no big deal. I'll share it with you. Yeah. And please don't go and use ChatGPT and produce anything for me. All your answers, I'll set up a link for you and you pass it through. So if there is any AI, any high level of similarity in this, you fail in automatic. So please, it's a plead. Don't do that. I don't want you to fail. Is that point clear?
Yes, Prof.
Okay. We'll end the class over here. I will meet in class. So let me know through your class rep from Monday, Tuesday, if you are available in the evening after work, we can start at 6 o'clock, or if you don't have any lecture by then, we can finish up. Yeah, I owe you, because the last time to a mix up with the time, I thought it's supposed to be 6:15, not knowing 5:15. So, and then yesterday's on as well. All right, so I'll share this thing with you, the template with you, so that you start writing your proposal. Okay.
Thank you very much, Prof.
Have a blessed evening.
Same to you.
Bye-bye.